conundrum facing Meta boss Mark Zuckerberg. He's just announced plans to charge a monthly fee for users to obtain a so-called verified Facebook or Instagram account. He says the new service will protect users from impersonation and could also allow wider exposure for their posts and better access to customer support. It's the latest effort to replace revenues lost to an internet advertising slowdown. But will it work? Well, here to discuss that question and the rest of the day's business news, including an update on the never-ending Brexit saga, is Arise business correspondent Laurie Laird. Good to see you again, Laurie. Meta is going to charge for some accounts. Should we be worried that this money-making machine is now starting to struggle?
But not only are they going to charge, Charles, but they're going to charge quite a bit. It's $11.99 for access. And this allows you to have a verified account on both Facebook and Instagram. $14.99 if you are $13.99, excuse me, if you want to do that on your iPhone. And I'm just thinking of my children who cannot live without Instagram. That would be a very hefty outlay for them. I mean, that's roughly the price of a Netflix subscription. And there's quite a bit that you can access for Netflix. So it is a fairly hefty price tag. Should we be worried that Meta isn't making what it used to make? I think Meta's a little worried simply because we had become accustomed, and particularly investors had become accustomed to Meta making so very, very much money. Now Meta's earnings are slowing down a bit. And in fact, over the third quarter, their revenues actually fell on a year-on-year basis for the first time in its history. But that's not to say that this company isn't still making a great deal of money. I think this is Meta floating this idea, seeing whether it gains traction, simply to signal to its investors that it is concerned about its bottom line, that it is used to being a cash machine, and it wants to consider to be that sort of an investment.
Well, I'm wondering two things here. One is whether charging, will make much of a difference to Meta's bottom line. The other thing is that the people who are going to be paying for this, because Facebook is a global, is used globally. I mean, a lot of people in developing countries may not afford to pay for it.
And the price that I just said, $12 a month is a hefty price tag for a lot of people, particularly people in the developing world. And we as well as I do, Charles, that many people in the developing world use Facebook not just as a way to show photographs and share photographs of their young children. They use it in places where democracy is not particularly well developed to communicate with each other. We know that Facebook at one point was used in Myanmar to try and organize protests. So there is a risk, you bring up a very good point, that people in the developing world who rely on Facebook for more than vanity ideas may be cut off from an important stream of communication. We know that Instagram is very well, users are concentrated in a younger cohort. I'm thinking of my teenagers who I hope they can't afford this kind of money, because it's certainly not the sort of thing that I would give them their pocket money for. So it is questionable whether people will be able to afford this. The only model that we have to go on, Charles, is Elon Musk imposing a fee for his blue checks to verify Twitter accounts. And remember, when that was first unveiled, it didn't go so well because a lot of people paid for the blue check and then went on to impersonate brands or companies or other celebrities. Didn't work quite so well initially, but the current estimates are, and these are from analysts, not from Twitter itself, but the current estimates are that only 0.2% of Twitter users are paying for that verification. That's not 2%, that's not 0.2%. So it hasn't really taken off in any way for Twitter.
Okay, we'll have to watch this one closely. Let's catch up on Brexit, Laurie. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has, I understand, been trying to find a way to make trade between the UK and Ireland a bit easier. We've got about a minute or so.
Absolutely. Well, he's doing this very very, very quietly, because Sunak has always talked about making the best opportunities of Brexit. So he really does have to tread very carefully here, because he doesn't want to offend the Brexit, the pro-Brexit wing of the Conservative Party. He is trying to find a way to make it easier for goods that leave the UK going to Northern Ireland and staying in Northern Ireland can get into Northern Ireland without a whole lot of checks. The problem with Northern Ireland is that it's both part of the UK's customs union and part of the EU's customs union. So any goods coming from the UK into Northern Ireland has to be ensured that they don't go into the EU through the back door of the Republic of Ireland. There are still a lot of things to iron out here, but it is significant that Rishi Sunak is trying to take this step.
Equally briefly, Laurie, I mean, do you get the sense that the Prime Minister is reversing his support for Brexit? And if so, how risky a political move is it?
I get the feeling that the Prime Minister is trying to solve this issue without letting people know that he is trying to solve it. Nonetheless, I think it's an incredibly risky proposition. And in fact, Boris Johnson, who managed to get Brexit over the line, or at least that's what he campaigned on, get Brexit done, he has weighed in. He has warned Sunak against going too far, trying to appease the European Union. I think politically, this is a big risk for Rishi Sunak.
Laurie, thanks very much indeed. Laurie Laird, Arise business correspondent.